Hi, welcome to my channel. If you are new, hello, and if you've been here before in the past, welcome back. Today I am going to be recording an audio analysis of Mare of Easttown. If you prefer reading instead of listening to the audio, I will also include a link to the article that I wrote about this analysis. It is in the description box. It will take you to my website, which basically talks about what I'm about to talk about. Just a quick disclaimer, if you haven't seen the show and you are not interested in any sort of spoilers, then I do not recommend listening to this audio. However, if you've seen the show and you feel like hearing someone else's opinion, thoughts, stuff like that, and want to share yours as well, then of course, please listen to this. If you haven't seen it and you just want to hear about it, feel free to listen to this as well. This is just going to be mostly audio, so feel free to also put me on your background as you carry on with your day and just let me serenade your ears with my thoughts. It's always strange recording first thing in the morning. Your voice is a bit husky when you haven't had your morning tea or coffee or water, but trying to get the sound right before everyone starts moving about, which is kind of what I'm doing today. Alright, Mare of Easttown was a show I randomly stumbled across while pondering what to watch on a particular night. I remember being upset that it had only one episode uploaded while I was in the mood for a marathon. I finished the episode and shut it out of my memory for a few weeks. Recently, I stumbled upon it once again while pondering what to watch as I walked on my new foldable treadmill. It's a pretty nice treadmill actually. It's been very, very effective with my exercise routine, but that would be a story for a different day. So seeing that it had 3 episodes uploaded, I decided to give it a shot and I ended up being hooked. So now that the series is completed and I have it all wrapped up under my belt, I figured it's time to give an analysis of the show. From my personal perspective, I feel like Mare of Easttown is a special case of jam-packed individuals with so much personal baggages, and they all find a way to run from their problems. They do this by occupying themselves with new or old routines and turning a semi-blind eye to every mounting event. It is an incredibly traditional town in the sense of ignoring to forget and transferring aggression to feel better. The town needs a scapegoat for their transferred aggression, one who is ready to take the fall for anything and everything, regardless of the individual's opinion or right. The town needs a mother to lead the way. No matter how hard they all try to function, they really can't without their mother. The mother needs to lead, the mother needs to solve their problems, the mother needs to accept the transferred aggression. The mother, in this case, is Mare. We'll get to Mare in a little bit. Basically, in this dark town filled with lies, murder, kidnapping, incestuous behavior, and many more, the adults continue to pass down their infectious darkness to the younger generation, and the circle continues. Even in the midst of old and young, the same pattern shows its ugly head. Everyone has grown accustomed to closing their eyes to problems, playing tone deaf even when shit is about to hit the fan, and then finding ways to nurse the pain by being preoccupied with something old or new while sprinkling a massive portion on Mama, which of course is Mare in the town. The town is angry, the town is filthy, and the town won't hesitate to take it out on Mare. While watching the show, did anyone notice how no one throws tantrum with anyone else in the department? Not even with the chief of police. Mare, believe it or not, has a position that is offensive to most in the town. Remember, this is a very traditional town, and Mare doesn't have a traditional position. She is the detective of the town. The chief of police is like a father figure to Mare. He gets it, and he should. He is a person of color, and based on his age, it must have been a very difficult journey to the position of chief in Easttown. He knows what it's like to be different, to not be liked, and to face challenges that you may or may not have signed up for. He sees the fire in Mare. He knows underneath it all there is a good heart constantly fighting for the good of the people. Someone who truly loves her children, which in this case is the town. I'm not saying Mare doesn't like or love her actual kids. I'm just referencing the town for now before we get into Mare as a whole. In this case, Mare being the mom, she's doing the best she can to basically provide and protect for her children, which is the town, just like a mother would. But in this world, like we all know, mothers sadly are always at fault. They are also the most loved. It's just a harsh reality. So let's use Mare's household as an example. Mare's mom, played by the incredibly talented Jean Smart, never fully grieved the death of her husband. Instead, she turned towards whatever got her through the day, like having an affair with a married man, drinking, or having a pint of ice cream in a cereal box and staying oblivious to the obvious. Mare, on the other hand, became a full-blown stone-faced adult overnight, never fully grieving as well, and turned to the next thing to distract her, following her dad's footsteps to save the town by becoming a detective. Well, I should say, she didn't just become a detective overnight, did she? She probably had to go through the same journey to becoming a detective. I stand corrected. When her son committed suicide, the family fell apart, with Mare not being able to grieve, the husband moving on to the next distraction, which became the newfound love that almost fell apart, and the daughter finding her distraction in the semi-bad company, alcohol, and drugs, which eventually fell apart. It was nice to see that she eventually met someone who encouraged her to go to school in a different state, which would really help with the healing process in general, and just like getting a fresh start, which is really advisable in that kind of situation. Luckily, with Mare's family, the distractions falling apart was the stepping stone to mending the crack between them and healing slowly. Although I'm not a fan of the rushed forgive and heal ending within that family, I am happy that they were able to meet halfway. It was nice to see the positive progression towards the end of the series. That was one of my biggest problems with the season finale. I know that they were doing a lot of time travel a couple of months later, maybe even a year or two, I'm guessing. But I just feel like with the last 6 episodes, there was so much tension and it was a bit rigid with the family that I feel like that whole happy lovey-dovey thing going on at the diner with Mare and her ex-husband and his fiancée looking through tuxedo, that was just a little too much based on their past relationship in the last 6 episodes. It is very difficult for me to believe that they were just all of a sudden one big happy family overnight and were able to see past their differences and heal so nicely within months or a year or how long that was. I just didn't believe that. It wasn't believable. It seemed a bit rushed. I don't know why it came across like that. It just did. So that whole forgive and heal thing going on, I just wasn't really a big fan of it. But again, I'm happy to see the positive progression that happened with the family. Alright, let's move on. Let me drink a little water. The women and the young are suffering deeply in this town. The men as well. However, majority of the men do whatever they want with no consequences. This can't be said for the women. Everyone is just trying to survive the best way possible, make enough money to get out of town, and trying to find their little sense of belonging. Unfortunately, this makes most of the women easy targets in Easttown. So many families were torn apart. It was incredibly heartbreaking to watch. A town so troubled that so many lines and gray areas were crossed due to extreme toxicity, negligence, ignorance, laziness, and being stuck in their comfort bubble. The more Mare tried to fix the town, the more uncomfortable things became for everyone within, which is great because whoever said breaking the comfort circle was easy. Besides, that whole town truly needed an exorcism. Mare, which I don't know if I have introduced, was played by Kate Winslet, and oh my god, she was really, really, really great in this performance. I feel like every time I watch a Kate Winslet show or movie, I say the same thing, but I think she just keeps getting better. Yeah, she's really good in this one. Alright, Mare has unintentionally taken on the massive responsibility of being the mother of Easttown. Whether she truly knew what she was stepping up for, we will never know, but signing up to join the force and becoming a detective was signing up to become the town's mother. As an individual, she's broken both internally and externally. Every minute is like a ticking clock. She just doesn't have enough time to do anything self-help related. She hasn't grieved since the death of her father. Add her son's death to that equation, then the fallout of her marriage, the fallout with her daughter, the love-hate relationship with the town, the constant disagreement with her mom, the mother of her grandson claiming custody and throwing friendly reminders of how her son hated her, the guilt of her not being good enough, now the new murder mystery case. That's a lot for one person. That's why she's numb. How does any human expect her to be flexible enough to even smile to anybody? Mare may come across to some as a very unlikable character, but pay further attention and you start to realize that she's the most lovable and trustworthy fella you will ever come across in Easttown. Despite that, Mare was also one of the most misunderstood characters, who was stuck in limbo and just going through the motions. That is not until Richard and Colin Zabel came along. I really like Zabel, but okay, let's start with Richard. So I glanced through several comments on the web on episode 5 and episode 6 just to see what people thought, and I found some interesting comments where people expressed their thoughts about not really liking the romance or supposed romance connection between Colin and Mare and having a better preference for Richard. In a way, I can see why it's easy on the surface to pick Richard over Colin. He's age appropriate, he has the most stable career field as a writer and lecturer, he has been able to piece his life together, and most of all, he has balance. He is the perfect specimen to fit into society's expectation. He's incredibly charming, he's very good looking, he takes good care of himself clearly, he knows all the right things to say, he knows when to bring the flowers, he knows when to apologize. He's basically the perfect specimen, so it makes a lot of sense why people would easily root for him. But I feel that's the problem. He has his life together, he has gone through his darkness and he has found his light. He's way ahead of Mare in this situation. Mare does not fit into this bubble, and she's not one to compromise. Mare has too many responsibilities on her hand. She needs someone that sees her and instinctively gets it. She pushes people away and it's nothing personal. You can be stubborn and meet her halfway, or you can be gentle and ask her to reach out to you when she's ready. She won't, because Mare doesn't have time for romantic rendezvous. Now enter Colin Zabel. Colin is naturally charming, goofy, and weird. The thing about Colin is that he has personal baggage, guilt, insecurity issues. He's stuck in the limbo of false personnel to fit the masses. He lives with his mom, who sometimes oversteps, and Colin, on the other hand, tries to please her, but also knows when to remind her to get back in her lane. In reality, he needs to break free, but he also needs a natural easing process. Sometimes the best things in life comes naturally. Sometimes an interesting challenge is all we need to break free and find our identity. It becomes the missing piece, the strange fresh air we never knew we needed. That's what Mare did to Colin, and that's what Colin did to Mare. Colin was initially taken aback by the reaction from Mare during their first encounter. Despite all the warning signs to stay away, it excited him more to reach out. You don't want to say hello? I bet you'd like coffee. You don't want to talk to me? I guess we're riding in awkward silence. You're not hungry? How about beer? All of which was annoying and appreciated at the same time by Mare. No explanation needed. While he may be the fresh air the town thought they needed and the hot shots they worshipped, he understood his place, admired Mare's strength, and understood the unspoken body language. They didn't need an entire series to make that connection. That connection was instant. That fresh air was what Mare needed to start the wake-up call to facing her demons. That connection was what Colin needed to face his dilemma of acknowledging his flaws, owning up to his mistakes, and being free to be who he truly wanted to be. He needed someone that saw him for who he was, without the need or unnecessary effort to prove to be someone else or explaining who he is. Mare saw him. Mare sees everyone. That's another reason why the town loves and hates her at the same time. The death of Colin was remarkable in a messed up way. Did you notice that he went out in style? So his first victory was more of a stolen victory. He harbored the guilt for so long and finally came clean on the day of his death. However, he fulfilled his wish to do something big and great by solving the case of the missing girls with Mare. It was redemption. Colin did his homework and he didn't make a mistake this time by missing anything. He took his time to learn through Mare, and with her, he grew in his career and as an individual within the short time spent together on the case. They found the right guy, and while they should have pulled back and insisted for backup, he protected her in his dying moment by taking charge while she was helpless with no gun and pulling his gun, which gave her split seconds for hiding. He died on his first big case that wasn't stolen but solved the right way, with no guilt attached. He died a free man who not only confessed his wrongdoings, he also freely expressed himself, acknowledged his feelings for the woman in front of him, and had the opportunity to kiss her. For once in his life, he encountered someone who truly saw him and knew what he wanted. Remember that huge, adorable smile on his face when he said, "How do you know what I want?" right after kissing her? Yeah, he died a happy man despite it being an incredibly sad and messed up situation. I truly wish they had time to explore and grow together as individuals, friends, and hopefully lovers. I was really rooting for this couple, man. Speaking of the kiss of death, when Colin kissed Mare, I felt that. See, some online comments noted zero chemistry on the kiss, but I beg to differ, and hear me out. The kiss wasn't necessarily about chemistry. It was that inexplicable feeling of relief, joy, love, uncontrollable happiness felt when you find that friend or someone who just gets it. They know what you're thinking and they are ready to get it done with you. They don't need an explanation, no excuse, they're ready, let's go. If you've never encountered that moment, it's magical, and if you have, then you remember the first time and how it truly felt. To have that moment come from someone you like or someone you are romantically attracted to, it is beautiful, and sometimes it leads to a full-on, pressurized kiss of thanks and passion, which in this case is what Colin gave to Mare. Magical. The close-up in the death scene was very important for a lot of reasons. Remember, when Mare and Colin hit the reset button, Colin reassured Mare that this will always be her case. He was just there to help solve the mystery. They worked and learned together. This was Mare's case. When Colin noticed the obvious giveaway of the cigarette in this scene, he turned to Mare and called out her name quietly. That's him waiting on the signal from the case owner. Mare instinctively relies on her partner and passes the decision to him by showing him the obvious. She had no gun. It was now up to Colin to make the call and protect the town. Colin made the decision there and then to be the guardian of the town, the guardian of the girls, and the guardian of Mare. He stood up to the challenge, knowingly placing his life on the line for the safety of everyone. This is why the unspoken language between him and Mare is incredibly powerful in the show, and why the close-up of all the body language was incredibly important in this scene. Just like Mare, Colin at that moment was the mayor of the situation. That's another reason why I believe his death was, honestly, a victorious bow of respect. His death was also Mare's breaking point. That was the break she needed to crack in therapy and slowly start to heal. It worked. With her eyes slowly opening to her surroundings, she did one of the healthiest things she had ever done in the show, which is confessing to Richard and ending things. That was such a relieving moment. Richard was under the impression that things will be alright and will slowly fix themselves, but Mare doesn't need to be fixed. Mare needs to be understood. Why he may not have intentionally gone that route or voiced it, placing Mare in a world she doesn't belong and not making the necessary adjustment to blend both words together just won't work. It had always been a relationship of convenience. Things just seemed a bit too forced from the beginning, and that can get exhausting very fast. Add that to the stress of being the mother of the town, the mother of the house, and a mother to yourself, and it's bound to be a complete disaster of a relationship. Although the show tried to create a false rekindle narrative towards the end, I'm glad it ended as goodbyes. One last thing to add to the love that never developed between Mare and Zabel. Noticed how Mare never truly smiled all through the show and always had her vape to calm her nerves? Pay close attention and you will notice that the only times Mare truly smiled, felt amused, nervous, and happy was with Colin Zabel. The reset scene, the kissing scene, or even changing multiple times for dinner, she was always naturally happy around him, slightly nervous, and he was also a pain in the butt, but that was all part of the fun, I suppose. Mare may not be great at conversing or taking the hint when on a date per se, but Mare, underneath that stone cold look, had little butterflies for Colin Zabel, and together they were the cutest thing on that show. Taking a break for the plane that is flying. So loud, so loud, so loud. The final episode showed once again how the toxic behavior of the adults affect the young, how people are so quick to shift blame and put their burden on others. A lot end up running away from their responsibilities and have no self-awareness of the damage done. It showed the pain and sacrifice the women of the town have to go through to protect the ones they care about and love. And finally, it showed that in the end, it is possible to heal and forgive. Like I stated earlier, I am not a big fan of how quickly and unrealistic the healing process was, especially with Mare's family, but I do appreciate the healing and forgiving process between Mare and her best friend Laurie. Yeah, that one was man, that was sad. I felt a lot for Laurie when everything just unraveled at the last episode. It was crippling, and when she fell at the end, I was just like, yeah, I don't know how this lady is standing, and quite frankly, I would have left the town. I would have just left and started over somewhere else. But overall, it was a beautiful show with an incredibly talented cast. From cinematography to acting, I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I'm hoping another good show can come up that would even be better than this one. If you listened to this, thanks for listening all the way. There is a link below in the description box, which is to my website and to the article of this analysis of Mare of Easttown. I feel like it's a bit more clear and precise, and it has some fun gifs that could be entertaining to stare at. But I'd like to know what you all think about the show. Did you enjoy it? What are your thoughts about the ending and just the show in general? What are your thoughts about this analysis? And feel free to share in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I hope you have a great day ahead of you. Bye.